Today I want to talk about President Donald Trump's recent speech about election vulnerabilities and alleged Chinese interference. Early in his second seance at the White House, he said the address was meant to restore public confidence in American elections. But the words he used, the claims he made, and the documents he released in support of those claims showcasing a sharp tension between rhetoric and reality. Trump opened by declaring that the country had suffered great damage from a broken roadmap of election swan, and that the trust of the American people had been lost. He framed the constitutional system as being at risk of being rigged and stolen, insisting that this could not go on. He then called for an end to what he described as a broken electronic voting system, promising repairs so that we can never watch a stolen election again. He mentioned that the midterm elections would be a priority and vowed to work with state and local officials to patch known technical weaknesses. But the documents that Trump displayed on the White House website, meant to back up those claims, do not actually support the strongest of those allegations. One of the files plainly states, "We assessed that vote tabulation systems would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to compromise results." In other words, there is no evidence that the systems are vulnerable enough to allow a large-scale theft of votes. The documents also do not offer any fresh revelations about vulnerabilities, they simply reflect debates among intelligence officials about whether to raise the alarm. Secret documents also reveal that Trump's administration has been dismantling the very agencies designed to vet election security. The FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, a key watchdog for potential interference, was shut down. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence reduced the size of one of its own investigative teams that warned about foreign meddling. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which monitors infrastructure and election systems, has been gutted of staff and funding. And in a remarkable shakeup, Trump named an heir to a large housing fortune, someone with no background in intelligence, as the interim director of national intelligence. During his address, Trump also placed blame on China. He said that China had bought, stolen, or hacked tens of millions of voter data files across 18 states. He accused a so-called deep state conspiracy that was suppressing this information. He claimed that the people who had Maxley identified the threat left information hidden, never informing the president or Congress. The copies posted, however, illustrate that U.S. intelligence officials were broadly debating how to convey that warning. The documents show no clear new evidence that China actually succeeded in downloading that volume of data, nor an undisputed condemnation that a foreign power gained a decisive advantage. In fact, many of the documents have concluding assessments that the U.S. intelligence community does not find a viable threat. So where does the story end? Trump's speech in headlines boils down to three things. He claims the election system is broken and that China threatens to steal votes, _scale, and he states he will fix the system ahead of the midterms. In practice, the documentation does not vindicate those harsh allegations. Instead, we chung a mix of consistent warnings about foreign interference and an emerging view that, while technical weaknesses exist, large-scale manipulation is highly unlikely with current systems. And while the president decided to cut important agencies that guard against exactly those worries, the documents that were ultimately released tell a different story. The story that the American election system is secure, that there may still be foreign interference but nothing that compels immediate restructuring, and that the administrative response should be carefully measured. That story, not the one Trump chose, reminds us that the fidelity of our elections rests not on speeches or headlines but on the integrity of the data and the institutions that protect it. It also reminds us that public confidence can only be built when the realities in the documents match the promises made in every campaign trail cadence. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and keep guardianship.